Okay, we have a no cooling call here. Looks like we got a helicopter headed around there to open the crawl door for us. Because Lord knows we don't know how to open crawl doors. But you know, that's just how they are. You're at their house. They have to help you. But anyway, the indoor fan does not work. And he says he thinks, you know, the outdoor unit and all works, and so we went in there and cut it on, and it did indeed come on, but no indoor fan. So let's see what we got. All right. So looks like one of these, oh, it's Comfortmaker, C9 MVX furnaces. And I liked them when I sold these Comfortmakers for a short period of time. I did like the furnace. This is a big old heavy tank of a furnace, but they were very efficient and worked very well. I'm pretty sure this one's going to be a variable speed, so not going to be a quick fix, but let's open it up and see what's going on. All right, this is one of the old 16-wire variable speed blowers, and the controller is bad to go out on those. And so just in case, on the off chance, outside chance that it's a thermostat, I'm going to jump red and green right here, but then we'll pull the let's see, this one actually you can test on the board, this little variable speed board that it has, but 99 times out of 100 is the controller on the motor that gives up the ghost. So let's see what we can do here. All right, let's see what this does. They're all the way on opposite ends. The red is on one end, the G is on the other. Got the power on. Oh yeah, you can hear the relays. Yep. So, let's make sure we're getting signal from this board, which is pretty easy to do. Actually, you know you are, because the relays are not on that board. The relays are on this control board. So you know the little board is sending the signal through whenever the relays click here. Nobody's changed anything. All these wires are correct. This thing is going to need a controller. And so what I usually do is, if it's in warranty, I will replace the entire motor, controller, and everything. And if it's not in warranty, I'll just let them buy the controller. That is always what goes bad. So let's get it out and take it with us. All right, so we got the high voltage wire unplugged, got the 16 wires unplugged, and we've got the 2 long screws out of the controller. All right, and then we're going to unplug this wire here. That is sometimes aggravating to get out. Get your thumb exactly right on that little clip to the side of it, or your finger, whichever you can get in there. and then it'll pull right off. And I'm going to imagine these electrolytic capacitors is probably what gives up the ghost on these. Or it has a ceramic disc as well. Several of them. So anything with those little capacitors in a little place like that and all these lightning storms are just likely what's going on. So this motor is probably going to be okay. I had one of those little zebra testers, you know, that tested these things. And I gave it away. I didn't really want it. I don't need it. I can tell you what's wrong with this one, so we'll watch it when it goes back in there and see it get fixed. So I'm gonna stick the door back on this just so nothing climbs in his house while we're gone, and hopefully we can get him a controller pretty quick. All right, I was hoping to get the module because that's what's bad, but no such luck. So we're going to have to change the whole motor and module to the new one that ICP has changed it to. Now, I have not seen one yet that you actually need the spacer ring and the longer bolts. These are the two shorter ones. And this is all I've ever seen it need. But I gotta believe that they give you the spacer ring and the longer bolts for maybe the 5-ton drive or the bigger cabinet, something like that, to where, you know, the blower is deeper and you would not have room for the wires to, you know, to access the plugs on the wires. That's what I gotta believe that's for. But if you place this exactly right, just to where this wire is not interfering with anything, these go right on without the spacer. I say that, and then now look at this. Look at that right there. So this is actually damaged. And I bet you they knew that because this box had been opened. So I'm gonna have to try to fix this. Shouldn't be too hard other than just snapping a piece of it off. Let's see if that works. Well, I tell you what, these counter people, they should have gotten rid of that. And here's another little spot. Look at that. Well, this motor is seriously damaged. There goes a piece of that off. Tell you what, boy, these parts that are hard to get, pretty much don't have a choice but to try to fix them and use them. Look at that. I mean, they're open anyway, but then there's a little piece there. I tell you, man, it's something else. All right, and the wires go out actually between these two legs. So that'll be no problem. Alright, well, let's go put it back in, which is also pretty easy. Alright, so I'm going to show you just how easy. I should have turned the camera on before I slid the blower in, but there's not really a lot of room right here, and I don't have the greatest angle on it. But I had to go ahead and put it in. Now, I brought this with me under here and nothing else. So I'm gonna take these two screws and put this thing back in here because they mount really easy. Sometimes it's hard to get them to slide all the way back. and you just kind of let the screw push it that last little bit. And I have been known to take my foot and stick it up in there and get that last little bit of it in there that way. Sometimes if you don't tighten them both. And another thing is, I say how easy they are to work on, and it fights me a little bit. Looks like that's a little better. Oh yeah. So that's all there is to mounting the whole thing. And then these wires that I pulled up out of the way, are really pretty easy. So you've got one 3-wire plug there that just won't go on but one way. I believe that's to your induced draft. You've got an L1 black wire. Line voltage goes right there. Okay, and then you got 3 neutrals. It's real hard to mix those up because they all go right here where it says neutrals. And then you got this one blue, and I always put them back where they were, but I really don't think it matters. Then you've got one I never can remember which way it goes, and I have to get up here close to see it. Got one long plug here. Call this a DIN connector or something like that. I can't remember. But it does go on pretty easy when you get it lined up right. Thusly. Now, the other thing I do is just for giggles, is I just wait before I put my thermostat wires back on, which is all we've got left is the thermostat wires. And I turn the power back on to the furnace, which it was already on. And I take the piece of wire that I left in the first place because I forgot my jumper. I usually have it clipped on my belt loop. And if I remember right, on an ICP, it's the outside 2 terminals. The red is all the way to the left, and the green is all the way to the right. And so just to watch it work one time, I'll stick that wire right there. And I'll let it ramp up. did not move any of the wires on the dip switches or any of that in there, so we should be fine. Now, that's 50%, and that's all you get from just R and G jumped together. So that's a continuous fan speed mode. Now, when the R and the G and the yellow are energized, you will get the high speed. You'll get it ramped all the way up for cooling. So that's how easy this thing is to put in. So let's take our 2-wire, and to get down low enough to get to where these, I'm gonna have to reposition myself, and this tripod's got to go for just a minute, and I'm gonna hook these thermostat wires up. All right, we've got all these hooked up. And my jumper here from W1 to W2. It 2 stages this 2-stage heating without a 2-stage thermostat. And everything is pretty well in here to suit me. So I'm going to put his door back on. Of course, these furnaces, I'm not as crazy about the door as on some others, but on an overall basis, ICP units are easy to work on, and I do like that about them. Every brand has their little good and bad points, no matter what it is. There's an old saying that, even a busted clock is right twice a day. And I'm going to tell you something I saw the other day, and I liked it. I'm not a fan of York at all. Certainly not a fan of the micro channel coil that some of them seem to want to be sticking their feet into the market of. But I did see a Coleman air handler, and Coleman is made by York is pretty obvious when you look at them. And I'll tell you what, the doors on that air handler were really nice. I don't know anything about it. Never sold any of them. Pretty sure I never will. But I did like the idea they had for the doors. And this cabinet, something's out of line here a bit on this door. I wish I had something here to pry it forward with. That, and it looks like we'll get out of it. But I just wanted to mention that once we were talking about doors here. Do not like York or Coleman. But I tell you what, those doors I saw on that Coleman air handler were pretty nice. Alright, let's go turn this thing on and make sure he has air. Alright, there's apparently a 5-minute delay on the Honeywell stat inside, if I had to guess. This is one of the nicer ICP units. Soft sound. And they do put a jacket on the compressor, as you can see. Kind of quiets it a little bit. And this is a really sturdy cabinet. Really heavy duty. This thing is made pretty well. Let's wait for it to crank. Okay, she's running. Fairly quiet, as you can hear. Good hot air coming out of it. And the customer does not want any servicing, cleaning, or checkup, or any of that done. He's watching his money, as he said. This thing's pretty quiet though. You can hear it. And I'm standing right next to it. So, tell you what, if I had to pick a number 2 favorite, I think these premium lines for the ICP would have to be it. Pretty nice. I sold quite a few of these back in 09 and 2010, maybe a few in 2011. And, this one sounds good. But we got him fixed, so we're going to settle up with him and move on to the next one. Thanks for watching. Soft sound.